Okay, okay, good. Okay, 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 okay. 31st of January 2026. This is the last day of January. We're saying goodbye to the month, and it's been a wild year already. It's been a wild year. It's gonna get wilder. It's gonna get wilder because we're seeing a lot of things happening in the world, especially in the United States. The US is under fire, not in the literal sense, but is under fire because the releasement of the Epstein files came out. So they're literally on the wraps. They are burning down in flames in terms of political terms and political scandals. And it's on fire. The US is on fire. It Everyone saw this coming. So the 31st of January 2026, 9 9 and 8 minutes in night. And yeah, I mean, it's literally on fire what's going on in the US. uh, it's like wild. It's literally wild what's happening on the US. It's completely wild, the situation over there. And yeah, I mean, I don't know what is going to happen with all this madness with the Epstein files, 8 p.m. And yeah, I mean, it's gonna be literally crazy. And every all the internet is literally on fire uh, for the Epstein files. So I'm just gonna monitor here very quickly this live stream. But yeah, it's wild. It's gonna get wild. It's gonna get really wild. What's going on with the U.S. in terms of the Epstein file? That's a complete different show that I can make with that subject alone. But I'm gonna continue what I started yesterday. Yesterday I wasn't on I wasn't able to speak about many things. First of all, I would like to address in English because I have been speaking a lot in Spanish, but I did not have the chance to say it in English. I've been criticizing for a long time now all this corruption situation that is giving the world a lot of problems. And in Mexico, the problems with corruption goes like from this much to hell, literally hell. And not just Mexico. I mean, we're talking about other countries as well, where it can be as little as this corruption, but in other countries are like hell, complete hell. And over here in Mexico, literally sometimes can be hell, literally hell, a hell hole in corruption terms. Mexico can be a complete hell hole in terms of corruption, a hell hole, literally, a complete hell hole. So I'm gonna reboot the camera a little bit, change the little bit the size and stuff, but it is literally hell. It's literally hell on earth in terms of corruption in Mexico. Literally hell on earth. Literally hell on earth. So yeah, corruption is a big issue, a big issue in Mexico because the corruption was rampant. That's the word that I can use: rampant and gross. Rampant and gross corruption was happening in Mexico, and in that sense, we have a lot of problems in the sense of what we need to do to actually fix what's going on in Mexico, because literally it was bad, really bad. And we really need to fix what's going on in Mexico because it's crazy. It's completely crazy. It's out of control. It's completely out of control what's going on in Mexico in the sense of corruption. And I mean, there's a lot of things to do. And we need to understand the context in Mexico with corruption. The problem with corruption in Mexico is that uh, it goes to every single goddamn level of government, public institutions, you name it, right? You name it. It's wild. So yeah, I mean, it's really 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 wild. So um, I mean, I was just watching, and I was just watching. Um, I was just watching that the corruption goes in many ways. You know. They were saying that corruption go as far, the rampant corruption go as far as fraud, document fraud, uh, document fraud goes as well fraud in other countries. They were speaking about this fraud in the Mexican consulates on the U.S. A Mexican consulate on the U.S. reporting back to Mexico saying urgent memos, uh, citing fraud, documental fraud, with foreigners that allegedly have fraudulent documentation from birth certificates and other documents like passports and other documents that they were used forged or even forged that they were using in Mexican consulates to get aid. You know? Fake passports or fraudulent passports, forgery in document. They found a rampant corruption in Chiapas, where this governmental office, where was issuing fake birth certificates. I mean, no fake. I mean, fraudulent. That's the word. Fraudulent birth certificates and other documents for I think was like I don't know some amount of thousand one or 2,000 something like that dollars, and they were using these documents on the outside, not inside Mexico. They were using them to make fraud in Mexican consulates in other countries, such as the consulate in Texas in the U.S. and maybe on others, and even in Philippines, they detect this type of fraud in the Philippines. The rampant corruption that is so gross reached as far as Philippines and maybe other Asian countries. And so, yeah, it's disgusting. The level of corruption that is in Mexico is disgusting. Yeah, because it reaches as far as denying reality. That's the level of madness with corruption in Mexico. You know that they even go as far as deny reality. So that is gross. You know. Denmark and Norway, I think one of those two countries, I think, if I don't misremember, took out, you know, they withdraw their investments in Pemex, and they issued an official statement saying gross corruption. Let me gross, like the worst, like the most disgusting type of corruption. That's the words they use in an official statement. So yeah, it's disgusting. Yeah, it's nasty. It's, it's sickening the level of corruption, and it's in every level. So no one is safe from corruption in Mexico, sadly. And you name it, no, businesses, no. Uh, well, they found no, last year, 2025, Garcia Harfuch found in Estado de Estado de Mexico, Edomex, in the Mexican state, not Mexico City, Mexican state, which is one exactly neighboring Mexico City, in the Mexican state. Not the Mexican state like the government. Like there's a state like Texas state, you know, the Lone state. Well, Mexico state, which is surrounding Mexico City, but Mexico City is independent from the Mexico state, Well, in Mexico State, they found a gross network of criminals that went as far as controlling deliveries. Disgusting. They control the deliveries from all these companies from e-commerce or to even construction places. Like prices from the materials for construction. I mean, disgusting. Disgusting. But that level, as far as that level went, they were even controlling prices from products, like market speculation with the prices. I mean, it was disgusting. It was like I think they called it the something related to the bees, like the honey bean operation or something like that. Yeah, something like that, like colmena or honeybee or something like that. The operation was called, and disgusting levels of corruption in that place. And that was just a little example of all the grossness of all the corruption that has Mexico in the first place in terms of market, criminal markets level of corruption. The first place in the world. I talked about this in Spanish like 1 month ago. And these international entities and organizations that analyze all this stuff. One of them, very important, it says that Mexico has very big problems in markets, big problems. But that's another story. I mean, it's not all the country. There are some like places in specific places where there is this big issue. Like one of them was the state of Mexico, Mexico State. There are others, so there are other places in Mexico that are safer, but there you have to be. You cannot even be safe in that situation. You always find weird situations regarding this type of services. There was a year ago that I think that they even they kidnapped people using. I think it was a FedEx van, something like that. They use the FedEx van to kidnap people. No, so it's disgusting. So at that, I mean, you are not exempt. You have the risk of corrupt people or criminals using this type of services to commit fraud or fraudulent moves. Of course, with the aid of people from corrupt officials, corrupt policemen, corrupt authorities. That is something that you cannot rule out in Mexico. When you are going to do uh, something regarding to service of package or something like that, you have to be careful because you are not exempt. You have the risk. You always carry the risk of finding or getting in the mix, or maybe even being a victim of these criminals. Because that's the way they operate often in Mexico. Sadly, not all the time is a problem, but you have that risk. You cannot be exempt of this type of risks. So it's disgusting, yes, disgusting because these criminals. Well, the other day I was listening to a show where they say that these disgusting criminals went as far as to collect the garbage from some places and try to gather tickets, the tickets from some uh, customers to try to scam or something like that. I mean, I never put in garbage the tickets of my packages because I know that that is a problem. I always break them and shred all those tickets because it's disgusting. These people, that level of madness is what they say in Mexico. It's insane, to be honest. It's kind of insane. It's wild, but this is the corruption that is everywhere. But it's from lies, false testimonies, crooked media, you name it. You name it, those everywhere. Corrupt officials, corrupt policemen, you name it. No one is safe from this crap. But yeah, that's the first, um, the first step on the subjects that I want to address in this 31st of January. I was going to address this yesterday, but it was already too late. It was late. I was like 10 at night. I didn't want to sleep late, and there were a lot of things I needed to say. I just covered the newspaper. So this is the first point that I wanted to talk, the talking point that I wanted to address yesterday, since yesterday, but as I said yesterday, I'm gonna do it today. So that's the first step. There's a lot of things that I can say, sadly, in corruption and rampant corruption levels in Mexico. You name it, everything that you can imagine, probably in some place, in some place in Mexico, they're doing that scam or fraud or whatever, you name it. I mean, you can imagine the worst scenarios, and in some place in Mexico, probably they're trying to accomplish that level of scammery, fraudulent stuff, or criminal activity. You name it. It's disgusting, but that's the first point. And in terms of corruption, well, the terms of corruption goes as far as the interoceanic train that derailed, but turns out that some people were involved in corruption. They filtered even phone calls from people who were involved in the project when it was in construction, under construction, and there was all corruption, all levels of corruption evidence, even in calls recorded, and documents reviewed. And they say that the fault was from the driver. I mean, it was, they even find, I think that some journalists found out that the train didn't even have speedometer, you know. So I mean, the driver didn't even knew what speed he was on to. They found other documents from the construction moments of the project, where they say that they could go as up to 115 kilometers per hour, and apparently the rail vehicle was allegedly 65 kilometers an hour, which is less than the same document from the construction company claimed it could go up to 150 kilometers per hour. I mean, every it is all full of inconsistencies, complete full of inconsistencies. So, I mean, I said it here, when they threw out this criminal guy, prosecutor, that went as an ambassador to the UK. No, the criminal even went with his criminal smiles, like, they didn't cut me. The criminal even went to the UK smiling like a criminal, like a criminal that dodged the law. Like that. I put even pictures how the criminal was even smiling, like mocking people, like I didn't get caught. That level of criminal. So, like, cynical smile. I mean, that level of criminal as ambassador of Mexico, the UK, a complete criminal. And well, we have the replacement from this guy as prosecutor in the Mexico FGR, was this lady that everyone says that she was only be the cover for all the crimes. And when this uh, when this communicar, like this report came from the Fiscalia, the General Prosecutor Office of the country, when they came claiming that it was the driver's fault, all those fears of this lady being a puppet, a cover-up puppet, for all these criminals, every fear came to life. When all these inconsistencies are up for everyone to see. Everyone is criticizing all this, of course. Everyone is criticizing all this, and yeah, I mean, it's sad but true. That's the situation with this office, and let's see how it goes. But it's not looking good, not looking good. And in terms of corruption, well, there is a lot of corruption in many places. I mean, not everyone is corrupt, of course, but there is a high risk of this type of crimes when you do almost anything in Mexico. You cannot rule out 100% the, I mean, you have to deal with a chance maybe to up to 60, 70% with anything you do. Well, you go even into a computer, a coffee, no? Like these places where they let you use a computer, like cyber cafe. where you can rent a computer, a PC, or print documents because you don't have a printer. But even going into those places to print things expose you to criminals because some of these people are so crook that they are just looking at what you're printing and like criminals. You are exposed to this type of criminals. So you have to even be aware of going to a place where only you can see the the document printed, or you can send it to the printer when there is no a third party sending to the printer the document. Even as far as that level of problems you may face in this country. So you have to even be careful where you go to do these things, because there are some places where a third party says, "Well, give me your USB. I see the document and send it to print," and they are just looking what. I mean, it is like that. You're kind of you are even exposed to this type of situation in Mexico. So yeah, it's wild. It is wild, of course, but that's how it is in this place. We have. I repeat it. When the perception of corruption index came out, this year, this year's analyzed. I mean, the past year that they analyzed, 2025, 2024, Mexico came out side by side with places like Nigeria, worse. No? We did worse than Eswatini, Timor Leste, some places that you even ask people, and they think that this is a tropical beverage. Like, well, that is a drink. No, no, Timor Leste, no, that is a drink, a beverage, like Caribbean, like alcohol. And no, that's a country. Well, that country that people confuse with like a drink is less corrupt than Mexico. It's fucking embarrassing. Well, Somalia, we came almost side by side with Haiti, a country that doesn't even have a government, for crying out loud. Haiti doesn't have a government. They live the law of the jungle, where gangs are controlling territories. Everyone is living like in the jungle. Well, we came only 10 points up. No, like even that place got 16 points, and Mexico got 26. It is fucking embarrassing, to be honest. No? To be only 10 points better than a place that doesn't even have a fucking country, a fucking government. They're running the place like in the jungle. Like there's no authorities, nothing. No. Society is by itself. Like God bless you because you are on your own. Well, we are only 10 points up than that place. That's how Mexico, how bad this country is. I mean, and that place doesn't even have governmental offices, doesn't have employees nothing is working well. I mean, only 10 points up from that place to give a picture of how effed up Mexico is right now in terms of corruption. I mean, we went even lower than Eswatini, for crying out loud. We went lower than Somalia. I mean, for crying out loud, you ask people on the street, "Hey, where's Somalia? They don't even know that that place exists." But well, that place that most people don't even know where it's in the map is less corrupt than Mexico. That is the level of insanity going on right now in Mexico. I mean, insanity, complete insanity. I mean, I could keep talking and talking about corruption in Mexico. I will not. I don't think I will finish today. I think I will have to make a special like report, like 5 hours, 6 hours, talking all the corruption that we see, and I will not even grasp even the surface. I would be beginning only to grasp the surface of in terms of a level of corruption in Mexico that is insane, insane. Well, they even deny reality. That's the level of corruption. I say it here that in Davos, in the World Economic Forum in Davos 2026, they sent this lady, and she was speaking from another place. Now Mexico, this Mexico, that we have it. Well, I don't know what place she was talking about, because everyone in Mexico said, "Well, that lady, what the hell is she talking about? For what? What place is she describing?" I mean, because that's not Mexico. She was talking in that was like, no, no, we're gonna do this, and oh no, yeah, this and blah blah blah, this development, and the 12th, the 10th economic in the world with the 12th, well, all that nonsense in Mexico, where everyone saw what she was saying, and everyone was, what the hell that lady is talking about? In what reality did that lady lives? Because that's not Mexico. That's complete. I mean, it was wild. Everyone is like, what the hell is she talking about? Like, I mean, we have a chaos here. No? We have failed states like Sinaloa. It's complete failed. It is a failed state. And many others are on the verge to going into a failed. And in Guerrero, Mexico is a failed state as well. People are starting to organize themselves to protect themselves from criminals because they say fuck the government. They literally say fuck the government. They're not gonna do shit, and they start to organize themselves to protect themselves in Guerrero. So it is a failed state. It's almost a failed state. Well, the president of Mexico, she is talking about sending petroleum to oil to Cuba, and talking about humanitarian crisis in Cuba when we have a few the 1 or 2 days before when she was talking about humanitarian crisis in Cuba, we had a terrorist attack on a football field where 11 people were killed, assassinated in a terrorist attack. People died. 11 people were wounded in a football field where people were playing soccer. Terrorists came, narco terrorists came to that, and they start shooting everyone in that football field. 11 people died, and the president was more concerned talking about K-pop concerts and bands from Korea, and talking about humanitarian crisis in Cuba for crying out loud. She was so worried about humanitarian crisis in Cuba when we had a literally a terrorist attack. 11 people died, civilians, in a civilian space, in a football field. She was very worried about humanitarian crisis in Cuba. I mean, it's wild. It's wild. But, I mean, so worried about humanitarian crisis in Cuba. Like in Mexico, we didn't have any crisis. Right? I mean, we have almost a failed state, a failed country, and she was more concerned with Cuba. And she doesn't care about Mexicans. She's so worried about Cuba, and all the Mexicans they ain't worth. They don't care. I mean, it's insane. It's literally insane. I mean, it's really insane. It is insane to see talking about K-pop, talking about tamales, talking about everything you can imagine, except the problems that we have in violence and insecurity in Mexico. They're talking about the elections and all this electoral reform and all this nonsense. I mean, for crying out loud, man. I think, yeah, I mean, corruption is wild. Is wild. And that is leading Mexico into a cliff. It's leading Mexico into a cliff, and when Mexico fall into that cliff, is not going to be anything good for anyone. Now the TMEC, no, the free trade between Mexico and Canada is already almost there. Trump doesn't want it, but what we have this guy. I now understand why Trump said that the Brad was a fool. Literally, Donald Trump said that the most dumb and foolish person he met was a Brad, Marcelo Brad, and I understand why. Because that guy was talking about no, the free trade is gonna go. He can survive. He doesn't even have a plan B. That's the level of. I mean, these guys are like unplugged from the real world. I mean, I don't know. I mean, they don't have backup plans apparently, and that's insane. Because when I analyzed how much we sell to the US is 70%, for example, in Mexico. 70% of what we export is to the US, which is insane. It's insane to see a country that all the exports that makes is 70% only to one country. It's literally insane. insane. I mean, I never saw that. I mean, I have not studied every country, but I did not believe that was that high because it is stupid to put all your eggs in one basket. It's completely stupid. But and that's my point of view. But well, anyway, so I think it's very visible, very palpable, and very obvious to anyone that can has two fingers of brain that Mexico is insane. Well, the U.S. is not that bad. They are almost going into a second shutdown of the government again. So they are falling down the cliff as well. It's not looking good for the U.S. It's not looking good for Mexico, and I don't know what's going to happen with all this because it's complicated. But I'm gonna go to the next point, the talking point that I want to share in this exercise. Well, the next talking point that I want to speak was, of course, Iran. That's, I mean, that's a nightmare. Yes. It's a nightmare what's going on with U.S. and Iran. It is like a maze, like a nightmarish maze. Because when you analyze all the situation that has been going on in there, you have Israel pushing this narrative that they are a week ago to have a nuclear weapon. They are always a month ago. They're always a month away from nuclear weapons. They've been a month, a week away from nuclear weapons since 1970 something, maybe even before, maybe 1960s, maybe since the 70s. The Israel has been pushing this narrative again and again, and they always say that he's a week, they are a week uh, from having a nuclear weapon. I mean, it's getting that speech is getting so old. But they always say that they're a problem. They are a threat for everyone. And that's what they always say. And I don't know. At this point, I don't know if they even remember. I don't know if Israel even remember why why Iran is a threat for the Middle East. I don't think even Israel even remember themselves what is the problem with Iran. I don't think that they even remember the alleged problem that why Iran is a problem. I mean, I don't know that even these guys, if you ask them, what the hell is your problem with Iran? Maybe these guys doesn't even know what the hell is going on. Well, I don't know, but everyone says it's a problem, so it has to be something. I mean, I'm starting to consider that probably you go to Israel and ask, what is your problem with Iran? What do you say that it is a Middle East problem? And many people say, I don't know. Many people is going to answer you, I don't have a clue. And maybe even if you doesn't have a goddamn idea what is the goddamn problem with Iran. I don't think those guys even remember what was the first excuse that they put to say that Iran was a Middle East problem. I don't even think those guys even remember. Because I don't know, it has to be something. Maybe they attack someone, they say something, but they don't even probably even remember what was the alleged problem with Iran. To be honest, do you even have a goddamn clue of what you're talking about? I'm not sure to what, why. I mean, what the hell is the problem? They don't even fucking know. That starting from that point is a big issue. They always no, it's, they're weak from a nuclear weapon. Well, they have been a week from building a nuclear weapon. I mean, that is bullshit. They know it's a bullshit. It's bullshit. So what the hell is the problem? They don't even know what the fuck to say. The problem is like this is they don't even know what the hell to say. And that is a big problem because you have all this problem, all this escalation, and all this probably war for what? You don't even remember. You don't even know. I mean, don't come to me with this bullshit. From there a week from a nuclear weapon. They have been a week to build a nuclear weapon since 1970. You know? I mean, it's time to put the bullshit. You know? I mean, from for it to have in order to have stability in that Middle East, we need to cut the bullshit, completely bullshit out. Because if we keep talking all this bullshit, we're never gonna have stability in that place. And I don't even know if Israel even remember what the hell was the first problem in the problem in the first place, because they have it always saying that they are problem. What the hell is the problem? I don't know. That's the big problem right there. Being enchilada right there is that. I think that's being enchilada right there. They always come with this nuclear stuff, nuclear threat. They had nuclear plants like yeah, nothing bad happened. I mean, they had nuclear plants over there. Nothing bad happened. I mean, they're still using this nuclear threat. And what the hell are they talking about? I even remember seeing a YouTuber like a year ago that went to Iran as tourists to Tehran. Everyone says, no, 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 you don't go there. Well, the guy went, and he even spoke about nuclear plants. What's the problem? They didn't blow up anything. Those guys weren't blowing up nowhere. They were only developing nuclear energy. I mean, what the hell? I mean, true. I honestly I'm starting to think that Israel doesn't even have a goddamn clue what type of threat they're talking about, to who, to what. I mean, and then come up with this nuclear bullshit. I mean, I don't buy that stuff anymore. I don't think even the guys, not even Netanyahu buys that shit anymore. I mean, to be including the bullshit. And those guys want to negotiate, but to begin negotiations, you need to put the bullshit. If you want to have stability and clear negotiations, you need to put the bullshit out. But I don't know. I mean, I see it as a bullshit. There's probably high possibilities that it's all bullshit. So what is the goddamn problem? I mean, what is the goddamn problem anyway? So the guys went to negotiate in Qatar, and I think those guys tried to kill the negotiators. I mean, what the hell are we talking about? Donald Trump saying this? These guys need to sit down to negotiate. Well, then why the fuck are these guys? I think Iran say this, if I'm not misremembering, that something went bad in the negotiations in Qatar. I think they sent these missiles or something like that. I don't even remember exactly. What the hell is going on? What the hell is going on? We, I mean, this thing looks like kids in junior high. Like when you're having an argument with a dude in your class from junior high. I mean, come on, we're talking about people with 70, 80 years of old. I mean, behaving like guys in junior high, for crying out loud. I mean, it's insane. It's insane. They say they want to negotiate. They come up with all this nonsense, for crying out loud. It's like sabotaging negotiations. Then this third party that alleged, Iran is accusing Israel from destabilizing their country, with fake protests and stuff. But what is the goddamn problem with Israel, of Israel with Iran? I mean, I don't understand what the hell is the goddamn problem with Iran. But I don't think not even God knows what the goddamn problem is between Israel and Iran. And apparently, it's more Iran, it's more Israel than. I think Israel is more provocative than Iran. But I'm not as expert on the subject. I'm just saying my point of view. And there's a problem. Yeah, there's a problem over there. But I mean, there is. I mean, sabotaging negotiations and what the hell, bombing like bases from Iran when they have nuclear stuff. I mean, what the hell is no? I mean, it's just like Jesus. I mean, anyways, but the Iran at least is saying, well, we're probably going to negotiate, but not in the shadows. Like they need clear information. That's what Iran was saying. They need no shadows, no bullshit. I mean, clarity. They need like this. No bullshit. I mean, like they've been dealing with all this. I mean, who can blame that these guys are acting defensive when you have all this Qatar situation? I mean, who would blame them for being like hesitating to go into negotiations when they face this type of stuff? So, well, I think the Iran's posture is clear. No bullshit. No shadows. No nonsense. No double standards. No nothing. Just plain clear information, like light. No half truths. No, like No, 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 no. They seem to need just clear information. Say, what do you want to aim, right? And well, I don't recall any attack from Iran to other countries. As far as I remember, I can recall a specific attack from Iran where they strike first. To be completely honest, to be completely, at least I cannot recall a moment where they attacked first. Maybe I'm wrong. Sometimes it's like, what is the goddamn problem of Israel with these guys? I mean, but as long as there is no clear information and all this nonsense and BS, from the nuclear threat and all this stuff, it doesn't, it's not backed up with clear information or real information of a threat. It's gonna be complicated, especially when this guy, the prince from this the, this Pahlavi guy, the prince that is living in the U.S., come up in the public saying that he's going to be a puppet of Israel. I mean, what the hell? They haven't even started negotiating, and this guy Pavel, this prince, is already saying that. Well, there are rumors that he's already talking. Oh, that we need a revolution. I mean, provoking all this stuff, and talking about he's probably going to be very well with Israel, very friendly with Israel. Israel is going to be able to do whatever they want. Why? What the hell? I mean, you cannot make this stuff up. You really cannot make this stuff up. But anyway, that's the situation with this. Iran is complicated, but I think it's complicated because it's all started with bullshit. All this Iran threat, all this Middle East threat, and the problem. Anyway, I'm not an expert on the subject. I have to say that I'm not an expert on the subject. I'm just stating my point of view, personal point of view. I'm not saying that Israel is bad or Iran is bad, or I'm not saying, oh, Iran is good or Israel is good. I'm not putting labels. I'm just saying that I think Israel doesn't even remember the goddamn problem to begin with Iran. To be honest, I don't think not even not even God knows what the hell they're talking about. Iran being a threat of a what? And they never have clear information. They always say, no, it's a week. Netanyahu always says a week from building a nuclear weapon. They have had nuclear plants for some years now. And at least here in the West, we have not seen any madness going on over there. So, well, as long as all this nonsense comes into the excuses, because they sound more as excuses than realities. I don't blame Iran being on the defensive posture. I really don't blame them at all, because when you don't have what Israel criticizing all this without clear information, I mean, and but they've been attacked by U.S. with this bomb, and I mean, I mean, who will blame Iran to be in a defensive posture? I don't think anyone will blame those guys from being defensive. Like we don't know what the hell do those guys want. And I say, well, what is the problem? Why Israel is pushing so hard this narrative? I mean, that needs to clarify. If there is no clarity of this in this point, it sounds like excuses with no backup, no reality behind it, and that is a bad point. That is the losing ground from any negotiation. And I think the entire world sees this. The entire world sees all that. So I say, but maybe they will have to start in a video conference, some talking points. But I really don't blame them, and I think that the U.S. and maybe well, I think the U.S. need to put Israel and say you keep quiet and don't make much noise, because otherwise it's not going to work. But they're talking to negotiate. They did this thing in the past. They were like negotiating and they betrayed the negotiation. So they sound like excuses only. But now, look at the double standards. You know, the double standards are not going to work for the West. That's why I always been criticizing the West to be rotten. Because look at this, they designate Europe, the Europe Union designated as terrorist organization Iran, but they didn't say a goddamn thing of Israel attacking Palestine or even Syria or even other places. I mean, these fucking double standards ain't going to cut it, man. The time of the double standards is not going to be the standards that we need for the future. One thing that we need to cut off, really cut off from the new recomposition of the world order, one thing we need to leave like out is double standards. I mean, they sanctioned Russia because attacked Ukraine. They did not uh, sanction, well, they sanctioned Russia in the Olympic Games, from some international sports competitions. They didn't do a goddamn thing to Israel or the U.S. To cross the line a little bit. Well, they did a lot of damage in Palestine. But there is this double standard, right? Like we give, the world gives Russia one treatment and Israel another. So I don't think that's going to work for no one. I mean, everyone will hate that. I mean, who will be accepting that? No one. I mean, it's not going to work. That only is going to create problems, and it's already continuing to create more problems. I mean, we really need to these double standards is not going to cut it. It's not going to cut it, and I think definitely that's one of the things, mistakes that has been made in the past that cannot continue. That stuff cannot continue. For crying out loud, it is a bad mistake. It is an unfair situation. It is not what we or anyone needs in the future. That is not going to work. So, well, we have all that stuff, and it is a nightmare because when you see how is all this madness, from Israel criticizing with no real arguments and no clarity, and well, Israel, Iran saying we don't need shadows. There's confusion because what the hell is the problem in the first place from Israel, right? So has to be a lot of clarity in this stuff, and the U.S., if it wants to really negotiate, it needs to stop with all these fake accusations and fake arguments are not going to win negotiations. So, and what the hell is the problem? I mean, really, what is the problem with that Israel is claiming that Iran is? I mean, I think not even God understand what is Israel problem with Iran. I mean, those guys doesn't even probably even remember what the hell is the problem in the first place. So, and that's where all this is coming from. You know, all these problems come from Israel. What the hell is their problem? Why all this fuss? Why all this nonsense? They say that the Iran is the risk for stability in the Middle East. When Israel is the problem in the Middle East, they're causing all this nonsense. They are the ones pushing all these narratives. They are the ones pushing all this Iran threat. It is wild. But anyway, so this problem with Iran sadly is being repetitive. It's being repetitive over the years. And I don't know. The Iran is 1 week away from building a nuclear weapon. It is out of the discussion because that's the oldest excuse they have come up under. And I mean, it's like no one believes it anymore. They've been a week away. They've been a week to build a nuclear weapon since the 70s. Right now, who will believe that nonsense anymore? That's my point of view with that subject, and sadly, that is still a problem that is putting pressure in many places on terms of war. And well, we have now the US bypassing again the Congress to sell more weapons to Israel. I mean, it's the same goddamn mistakes again and again and again and again. I mean, it is like these people is really crazy or something, because they keep doing the same, expecting different results. Doing the same, expecting different results is insanity. I mean, people that are actually is thinking like that need to check into Bellevue. Many people that really, I'm starting to think that many people needs to check themselves into Bellevue, because if they think that they're going to do the same, have different results, it's insane. So yeah, we apparently have. I think Donald Trump was right, when he wanted to reopen the mental asylums, because I think even in his administration, some people will have to check into Bellevue, because again, supporting Israel blindly, giving them weapons to destroy things, and Israel claims that Iran is the threat, for crying out loud. The place is bombing everyone. It's Israel itself. I mean, that is not going to work anymore. We have been doing, but there have been doing the same narrative from the 17th. Come on, come on, for real? I mean, come on. I mean, come on. And I mean, but I don't see this. I don't see coming clean. What is the goddamn problem? I don't see Israel saying what is the goddamn problem with Israel once for all, with that bullshit. I don't see them saying anything about that. And the US is helping them, helping them, helping them, helping them, for crying out loud. And Einstein said it, and Einstein is a Jew. He said doing the same thing, expecting different results, is insanity. So I think Einstein will invite many people to check themselves into Bellevue, because there's something wrong with those people. And they have been doing the same thing, expecting different results. And all we have is war, death, and suffering. And well, I guess everyone is starting to understand this, and I don't get. I mean, the U.S. is pushing, yeah, but it's okay that maybe they have the strategy, but it's fine. But if they want to negotiate, stop bombing the negotiation table, like they did in Qatar. So that's why I say they will maybe will have to do some live stream or something, because maybe Iran will feel more comfortable not going to a place where they might feel like, oh, there, here we go again, like they're going to try to bomb, or what they're going to try this time. Because that's the situation we are into right now. Iran probably will not trust going to nowhere to sit on a table. Probably, who will blame them? And the U.S. I mean, or I don't know if it's Israel. I mean, they're gonna have to work something like that to begin a process to see where it goes, because uh, I mean, who would blame Iran to say, hey, I mean, I mean, the same family again. I mean, but yeah, I mean, and Israel needs to really, what the hell is the problem? What the hell is the goddamn problem with this? Because I have not been, I cannot recall a moment when Iran attacked first Israel. I just cannot recall it. I'm not expert on the subject, but I just can't recall. And I'm not pro-Iran, pro-Israel, or anti-Israel, or anti-Iran. We need to see like we're human beings, and first of all, we need to cut the bullshit and all the bullshit. I mean, what the hell is Israel problem with all this nonsense? And if we don't have this clarity, because obviously the U.S. is pushing because Israel is saying that they are trying, but we need to cut the bullshit. And I think that maybe the U.S. now it's all nonsense, and that's why they're saying all this, sending all this nonsense. But it's very complicated. Of course, maybe people that really knows this problem between these two countries can actually give a clear insight of a picture, or paint a picture of what the hell is going on there. But I mean, yeah, of course, there are many things that no, no, that people do not speak publicly. No, of course, there are many things that people will not speak openly into the public. But I really don't see why this cannot reach to a point of stability. I really don't see why will not be a point where all parties can reach a stability agreement, where there is no craziness, no people going wild here, no stability. Because I mean, we really need to push the planet, not globalization, the planet. We need to push the the we need to start to push forward the planetary civilization. We need to start putting aside all this nonsense if we want to. And why do we need to? Because we need, we soon are going to return to the moon. There are plans apparently to return to the moon. Let's hope that we can achieve return to the moon, that goal. But we are beginning to begin the process. We need to understand that we are beginning the process. It's gonna take time. We need to begin the process to become a planetary species. And to become a planetary species, we need to let go to all the division, all the things that are dividing us. And many things are nonsense, to be honest. Maybe we think that religion is making us different, or maybe we believe that our ethnicity, or race, but we're not different. Everyone wakes up wanting to live a good life. Everyone wakes up with dreams in the mornings. Everyone wants to love and feel loved, and to build things and to enjoy life. And we're not that different, really not that different. That's why when you see it from this point of view, all these problems, you say, I mean, I think there is no need to have all this conflict. But we need to start to begin understanding that we need to become at one point in time planetary species, and these moments of of these conflicts, maybe fueled by some parties, that maybe are irresponsible or not. Well, we need to be better, to choose a higher path. And I don't think it's that complicated. I think it's just more, I don't know how to express that, but I don't know. We can do it. We really can do it. But sadly, we're not being able to actually accomplish it in a good way. The UN was doing so, but they began to fail into their actions with Israel again. Well, the first troublemaker was Russia. Well, there was this problem with Ukraine. That there was a coup d'etat in Ukraine that destabilized this part of the world, and then Russia acted. Maybe they overreacted. Maybe they had their reasons, but that was the first domino piece that fell. And then we have Israel entering the field of the problems with Palestine, and we have been going backwards since then. Because it probably all this decline began in 2014 with this again, these interests, destabilizing Ukraine. Some people talk about coup d'etat in Ukraine in 2014, and since 2014 we have seen the deterioration of everything. Russia made this special operation in Ukraine. They have their reasons, but then Israel again start to make problems, the troublemaker, and we have other conflicts between India, and the control region, of Kashmir. We have a possible conflict between Pakistan and these places. Fortunately, that problem and conflict they escalated, you know. But But since then, all the work, the progress went to the toilet. So now we have this Iran stuff, and again, Israel over there appearing in the radar. I mean, I'm not against Israel. I'm not anti-Israel. I'm just saying, apparently, sometimes it just appears. But we have as well IT, that has nothing to do with Israel. They have a conflict, and the government fell. And we have other clashes in other places in the world, in Nepal, Morocco, and other places, Madagascar, Malaysia, I think, where people erupted in instability, and they kick governments out. And I think that all these have fueled problems. I'm not gonna say who's behind anything of that, but all that is part of all these problems. So, and we have to say it, the U.S. has been part of the deterioration of the international institutions. For example, when they sanctioned the International Justice Court, the 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 judges that they uh, sanctioned. Uh, I mean, that was a no. That was a no, because they were following Netanyahu pressure, because he was under pressure from the international court, because they issued a warrant of arrest, and this guy pressured the U.S. and the U.S. sanctioned these judges, which was a mistake. The U.S. need to acknowledge that that was a mistake, because it was attacking the international order as well. Well, they have the reasons with the UN. I probably get it, not so much, but I probably get it, because the UN begin to fail since 2014, and they have not, they weren't able to put people into accountability. That was their mistake of the UN. They could not get people into accountability, and that made them lose a lot of power and credibility. And the other problem was that, I mean, the UN needs a reform. I think the Secretary General understands that there has to be a reform, because they need to get better the accountability. No? They know this. They need to, and we need to come with a solution that really gives um, legitimacy, legitimacy to the UN. No? They has to be they have to be backed by the people, because many people say, "Hey, who elected these guys for the UN?" Well, that is a little, that is a problem itself. And I think they could have this legitimately with some process, some reform that can aid the institution, because it has many good potential. But this veto, the problem that they have, that they give this power of veto, votations, is not one. That has to go as well. But they will need to fix, and realize what the problem is, to be more effective. And yeah, I mean, we have all these problems, putting problems, and making this erosion of uh, the international order to be worse. So yeah, and what do we have here? Well, going to other subject, to another talking point that I want to say. That is a very complicated talking point, but I think with what I say is good enough to get a small picture of what has been going on with all this declining in the international order. No? So what is going on in the European Union? No? One second. Okay, so what is going on with Europe, the European Union? Well, we had this. lady, that I've been criticizing since a few months ago. This von der Leyen just taking the European Union into chaos. You know? So, who is behind this chaos in the European Union? Well, Soros, the entity. You know? George Soros, this Belzebub, this entity, um, is creating problems. I'm trying to be soft here because I could uh, go to the home, but I'm trying to be soft. Well, this guy, Soros, is not only destroying the European Union, but he's focusing on Spain. So uh, he's using his puppet, von der Leyen, and other puppets that he has to trying to manipulate the European Union into his agenda. You know? So what is the problem with Soros? Now that he has his puppets in European. I'm not gonna say who. I think people knows, but one of them. But he has several in Spain. I think he made like Spain like a lab, you know, to see how he can move his interests. And I think Spain is miserably failing to see that the guy creating them a lot of problems. And I'm gonna say this, since 2016, that guy has been operating like, I mean, even mocking, people, or maybe even politicians, because that guy is the guy that pushes the madness of the gender madness, the trans, the men's having babies and women's turning into men, and all these nasty, gross things, that kids, changing sex is insane. It's disgusting. But that guy is pushing on this narrative of the gender wars, of these cultural wars, and I think the Spain has been blind to the fact that Soros is playing them like fools. And there are YouTubers that are even criticizing us that we say these things of Spain. Saying, these apocalyptic people that have no credibility. Well, those guys are puppets of Soros as well. Maybe they're in the in the in the payroll, of Soros. So, and these guys, what they have not been able to see is all these problems that Ukraine has. Soros was part of them, because Soros actively worked in Ukraine with his agenda. And what we are seeing in Ukraine happening today, all these people dead, war, destruction, madness, having a comedian as a president has Soros' signature all over it. And in Spain, some fools are even trying to defend Soros playing them. I have seen some YouTubers coming in defensive arguments because or they are in their Soros payroll, or they're just fools that they cannot see what Soros did to Ukraine. And some even foolish ones, more foolish people, are saying that that um, that Zelensky is very close to Netanyahu. Well, in the end, all three are Jews. Some people even say that. Well, I've seen pictures. I think from some people that claim that Zelensky has a Jew passport. I mean, I don't know, but I've seen pictures, and I don't know. Maybe it could be fake, but some people claim that they are more close than we believe. And at the end of the game, the three are Jews. You have Soros is a Jew, Netanyahu is a fake Jew, and Zelensky probably is another fake Jew. But I'm just gonna say that because it's not very well confirmed. That is a suspicion. I think in Spain some fools cannot see this problem, this risk, this issue. And I'm not saying that this or that. I'm just saying I don't think they're realizing the problems and the Julio Iglesias and all this nonsense from this gender wars. That now all the ladies are the same, they don't work it, and all these people saying that these guys now that the marriage is not good enough, we need sorrows all over it. And now he is pulling a decree. He made I think the president of Spain, I think he will pull up his strings politically to pass a decree where they want to regularize, like give papers from Spain to I think it's 500,000 immigrants. I mean, these guys are going to. I mean, I think that is the beginning to the end for Spain. To be honest, I'm not even exaggerating. I think we are beginning to see the beginning of the end of Spain. Why do I say that? Because they came with a decree that they want to give papers, Spanish papers, to have 1 million immigrants. That could be fake, but there are these type of rumors coming up from Spain, and I think that will be the beginning to the end for Spain, because this guy Soros, the Belzebub, the entity, the demon, he only destroys. He tried to destroy the U.S. Donald Trump say, "Get the hell out." Donald Trump say, "Get the hell out of my country." To this guy's house. He investigated as a possible for a pro-terrorist financier and electronic fraud. Mm. So the guy apparently cannot operate in the U.S. and he is trying to operate in the Europe Union. So, I think it's going to be a problem for the Spain. And if they don't want to see them, too bad, too bad for them, because the destruction has already begun with an army of 500,000 immigrants that are going to get Spain papers. With I think Pedro Sanchez decree that he signed that he needed to regularize all these immigrants. But that is another fraud, you know. And sadly, in Mexico, there is a link with this criminal, with this entity, with this demon, with this Belzebub Soros, because in Mexico he still has some strings in some places. He does not have many influence, but he has some strings. And I say that maybe that guy is behind all this fraud that we have been discovering in Mexico with all this document fraud and maybe even forgery, because even the UN has begun to acknowledge how the criminals operate, putting people that look alike, that people in passports, so they can make fraud with identities and stuff. And they are making fraud. And the UN has published a report where they are even giving training to people in offices, in consulates, and in airports for many countries. So in Mexico, we still have this guy, this Belzebub, uh, putting us at risk in Mexico, because he still, I think he operates, but in a smaller scale, because Alicia Bárcenas, one of the government officials from the Sheinbaum presidency, reunited with the criminal Alexander Soros de Belzebub Jr. in Davos. And look, three Doritos después, like we say in Spanish, tres Doritos después, three Doritos after, no? A few moments later, after the Alicia Bárcenas from Mexico reunites with this criminal Alexander Soros, a few moments later in Spain, where this criminal operates as well in the European Union, but the criminal, the terrorists, because for me that guy is a terrorist, but the terrorist Soros pull up his strings to destabilize Spain with Julio Iglesias. No, this fake uh, charges and accusations, no, all funded by Soros. Even political parties funded by that criminal terrorist, and the terrorist even uh, maybe pulled its strings in Mexico, especially with migration. I'm not accusing, but I suspect that this terrorist source was behind the fraud committed in Mexico with documents from the fraudulent documents sold by corrupt people. Maybe even the terrorist source has something to do with it, because he even pushed this decree from Spain so they can regularize 500, I mean half a million, I think there is half a million immigrants in Spain. So a complete immigrant terrorist, George Soros, committing nothing but more than frauds, death, destruction, and all these types of evil stuff. He's a complete terrorist. The son of Beelzebub is what I say that guy is. He's the representation of Beelzebub on earth. He's a demon, you know, and that demon terrorist is I think is trying to terrorize Spain. And some fools are even, I think they're blinded by this, or maybe they're in the payroll of this Beelzebub criminal terrorist, trying to pull some strings in Europe. And I'm not saying the guy is a complete nut job, but I think he's part of many of the crises that we have seen in Ukraine and in other places in the US as well. I think there is high suspicion that that guy was behind all of many of the problems that the Western civilization is having right now. But the first suspect in the list is Soros. Then we have Netanyahu, no, but we have these two people as prime suspects of all the chaos, madness, and destruction of the Western civilization. So I think in Spain, I don't know what the hell is going on with people defending this type of narratives. No, that no, they're conspiracy people, they're apocalyptic people, that very negative. All those are is the script from this terrorist. No, the Soros script, the terrorist script is attacking us, saying that we are negative people, saying that we are apocalyptic people, saying that we are like fake pro end of the world people. All those people that use those talking points, or either are on the payroll of Soros, the terrorist, or are the worst fools of you can ever think of, no? Or the blindest fools you can ever think of. It's very clear that that guy is pulling some strings in Europe, and specifically in Spain, and even in Mexico, because Alicia Bárcenas talked with the son of the criminal terrorist. She reunited with that terrorist, and I don't know. Here in Mexico, we don't trust immigration at all, no, at all. It might be part of the corruption, especially for that terrorist, because Mexico right now is a hellhole. It's a complete hellhole, sadly. So, well, I'm not gonna make that point very clearly. This entity, this demon, this Beelzebub, Soros, your Soros, is destroying actively Europe and is focusing in Spain. And Mexico is with suspicions because Alicia Bárcenas, a representative of the Mexican government, reunited with the criminal terrorist Soros Jr. in Davos, 2026. So I'm gonna say like that. And why I say that that guy still try to operate in Mexico, because in Jalisco, in the Jalisco state, they rejected a bill that proposed to change the sex of kids. I mean, 6-year-olds, 5-year-olds, 8-year-olds, kids changing their sex. I mean, to become a woman or a man. They're not even a woman or a man because they're kids. But this distortion, ugly and nasty one, they rejected that in Jalisco because the, Soros did not have enough power, political power over there. But these destructive policies and bills and madness is trying to still make problems in Mexico. And interestingly enough, in Davos 2026, Alicia Bárcenas, a representative from the government, reunited with one of these terrorists. Because, at least for me, those two are terrorists, international terrorists. The same as Osama bin Laden, the same as those guys. These guys maybe they don't, do not throw bombs, but they are saying all these crazy policies and politics and gender wars and all this nasty stuff. So I'm just gonna say that, and yeah, I mean in another point, uh, yeah, well, not in another point, but in Mexico recently we have been seeing all these attempts to hijack the narrative, you know, from people sold out. You know, there are many people sold out, you know, that they jump with the fake narrative backed by Washington. It's most likely that was backed by Washington. This fake narrative of this fake operative of the FBI inside Mexico, when the only thing they did was come and pick up the guy and take it back to the US. Because, well, the simple fact that this guy from the director of the FBI, I'm not saying the FBI is a bad institution, is not as effective as is not the same FBI as the 90s, the 80s, and the 70s. It is another type of FBI, much less quality, with much less quality. Uh, it's not the same. It has a lesser quality, of course, and it is not the same FBI as before. It is much lesser quality. And this guy, the director of the FBI, a complete a liar, a complete pathological liar. That guy lies as he breathes. He lied under oath, committing perjury, saying that there was no any evidence of any child minor trafficking or anything has to do with that in the Epstein files. A complete liar. He was losing the files. I don't know where the files are. And all like a buffoon. I don't know where they are. I mean, I lost him. I don't know. Yada, yada, yada. No? This guy, not trustworthy at all. Not even a bit. Well, claiming that they captured in Mexico this guy from Canada just to push a narrative. That's the, that's the thing. Well, the guy was denying the Second Amendment right to bear arms just to justify the ICE assassin. No, no, she could not have any arm with herself. That's unconstitutional, the bullshit. A pathological liar. You know? I think the guy even laughs about his own bullshit. Probably the guy in private is like, yeah, I exaggerate with my bullshit. You know? I see that guy clearly. You know? This guy Patel, even the guy in private laughing. Oh yeah, I crossed the line with that one. It was a good one. You know? It's a clown. It's a buffoon. A clown. The guy is a clown. Untrustworthy clown. A pathological liar. And whatever the guy says, no one should give a damn about what the guy says. But in the Washington pushing all this crap and all this Washington Wall Street Journal, who will believe what Wall Street Journal has when they have operatives in there from the intelligence community? But they're not bullshitting anyone. You think that we're stupid? I mean, the Washington really believe that we're that stupid? That we don't know how this bullshit operates? I mean, they're insulting Mexican intelligence. They're trying to pay crook journalists and bullshitters in Mexico to well, even the United States ambassador was smart enough to say, no, I'm not going to jump into the bullshit. But well, he made that decision by itself. But they're not convincing anyone in Mexico. And they're trying to push it, even paying the lawyer from this guy. No, no, he was caught. I mean, anyway, so no one buy the bullshit anymore. No one bought it. No, it's so old that's, I mean, I'm not going to say anymore, but all these narratives, defending the ICE, and come up, who's going to defend the bullshitters of ICE? These fascist, uh, I mean, those guys are really like the Gestapo, to be honest. Nothing more than a fake Gestapo. This guy says, "Nah, I'm gonna attack your boys. We're gonna kill your boys." Bullshit, bullshit. And the guys justifying. I mean, Donald Trump justifying this crap. I mean, these guys should be in jail. These people need to be taught a lesson. How not to be a fucking faces. How to not make threats to people. How to treat a kid. When they even cuffed kids for crying out loud. I mean, it's going too much. It's too fucking much. I mean, those guys want to put fear on people, but I think it's too much. That is gonna it's gonna have blowback. I mean, what maybe Donald Trump is not grasping is that is gonna have a blowback. You know, that is gonna blow back badly, and that is going too far as well. So that's gonna blow back. And I get the point that they want to put fear so they can go in line and they don't know that people can be controlled. But it's gonna blow back. I mean, it's not going to work in the long term. Maybe in the short term, it's having results, but in the long run, it's gonna be ugly, politically ugly, because these people they're gonna get they're like they're gonna it's like when you fill up a cup, it spills, and I think people is like getting tired of all this. And it's gonna be bad. You know? If they don't put under control this ice, it's going to be bad even for the same United States government. It's only going to feel a civil war. You know? So I mean, this ICE eroding human rights, being pro-fascist, trying to put fear on people. I don't know. I think it's not going to end up well. In the long run, it's not going to end up well. And I think they need to put the volume level a little bit down, because that is going to blow back. But anyways, that's my point of view. It's just an opinion. Yeah, I mean, these guys like Patel, I mean, a complete pathological liar is anyways. So yeah, I think there's a miscalculation, really bad miscalculation there, and another miscalculation very bad is uh, the, the fact that they are trying to do business with the Palestine problem. You know, this this complex, from Palestine, this Gaza complex or plan or whatever they want to build. Another bad miscalculation, very bad miscalculation. People are just not putting with it anything. They're like, what the hell? And you cannot blame people for not being a fan of this. Yeah, I mean, this build hotels and stuff in Palestine. I mean, who will blame people that criticize that? I mean, that's a big bad. I think it's a bad miscalculation as well, and it's gonna have a bad impact in the U.S. because the U.S. has already a lot of problems, and I think that's going to have another problem for them because it's another miscalculation. But anyways, I'm just saying my point of view is an opinion that I think is going to go back, and at the end, uh, people that has been right. I mean, time always gives people that has a real point the reason. You know, time always put people who was right and gives them the credit. You know, so it happens with conspiracy theories. You know? Many people that were called conspiracy theorists, time gives them the reason, and they cleared his reputation, their reputation, because they were right. So I'm saying all this, and I think time will tell. But I think those are bad miscalculations from the U.S. I think one of the good moves that is making Donald Trump is uh, devaluating the dollar. I think that's one of the good moves from Donald Trump. I believe. I think I understand why he's doing it, and I think it's a good move because, but I think the guy is more of a businessman than a politician. So I know that the guy know what he's doing, and I think it's a win-win for everyone, even for the U.S. as well. And I think I understand why he's doing it. I'm not gonna say it here, but I think it's a good idea. No? So, but yeah, making business out of the suffering of Palestinians, I think is a bad miscalculation right there. But anyways, another point in the U.S. that I think that is wild. Uh, this other situation with a book. You know, they published a book that is called Invisible Coup. I don't know the author's name. I don't remember the author's name right now, but it is called Invisible Coup that feels drama. This book feels drama over an alleged Mexico role in the establishment of the U.S. Via consulates, Mexican consulates. So I don't know. I have not read the book, but in Mexico sparked a lot of controversy and talking points. I don't know in the U.S. if this was a big thing, but this book is proposing a very explosive narrative when he's proposing or making the argument that Mexico is acting in an invisible group against the US using Mexican consulates to destabilize the US. I don't know about that. I don't know. I mean, people will. I will have to read the book to say no, yeah, this and that. I have not read the book, but it really sparked a lot of controversy. A lot of people saying what the hell. Many people were talking about it. So that is an interesting book. I mean, I will probably going to read it in this next months to see what is the proposition for this author. What are the claims? Why he's saying that? Where is the evidence? What are the arguments he uses to see if it is bullshit or if it is legit? I don't know if in the U.S. they are actively investigating this. I don't know. I have not seen any politician talk about this. I think it was a good move not to engage in this type of narratives. Maybe they will do it in some point. I don't know, but let's see what happens with that subject, with that book. If in the future appears this narrative, or there is more information confirming these claims from the book, that would be very interesting. But I don't know. So let's go to the next talking point. Well, China. You know? And what happened with China, Europe, and Iran? Well, China. The first thing about China that I found it weird, you know, was that China receives Stramer, although they gave Stramer a second class treatment, which was very well earned because we have to remember Britain and the UK were colonizers, and they put China into a lot of problems a long time ago, like in the 1800s, something like that. They had even commerce in China. You know? They were colonizers in China. So I get completely why they give second class treatment to this guy, Stramer, because who would want to treat well a country or an empire that colonized them in the past? No? So, yeah, I understand completely the second class treatment. And they say that Xi Jinping was busy or something like that. But I think that they were not going to give a first class treatment to Strainer because he's a control freak, and he's pushing this agenda of digital control madness. No, so yeah, they gave Strainer the second class treatment. They gave the Strainer a second class treatment. I mean, it's understandable because really, if you think about it, if you see movies from China, they always, yeah, they criticized, no, they criticized the colonies. So we have to remember that China was a colony. They have markets from the UK, from Britain in the 1800s. So I don't think they have a good memory from the Brits. And when Strainer goes, they gave him a complete second class, treatment. And Xi Jinping did not greet him; they will see him with other people, and it was like that. So it's understandable, and I don't think China is very big fan of UK. I don't see it, but well, that was what even the Brits, even Brit people from Britain, from the UK, criticized Strainer for going there and expose himself in a second class treatment. I think even his own people criticized Stramer for that mistake. And I don't know. That was the thing that happened in China. And what happened again with what other thing happens in China? Well, China is trying to back Iran, not in arms or in weapons, but apparently there are reports that are saying that China is going with Iran, saying, okay, we're going to help you with your digital infrastructure, internet, and so forth, so on, so you can be decoupled from the US, as a measure of protection. I think China does an interesting move. There are rumors that they are trying to aid Iran, uh, trying to put this digital isolation from the US. Very interesting. So let's see how it goes there. And Europe as well. There are strong rumors that in Europe they're trying to push the narrative to let's get out of the American system of the internet and Google and Facebook and Apple and Meta and WhatsApp and Instagram. Let's push away all that, and they're pushing the Europe's infrastructure. They're trying to say stop using Google, stop using One, stop using social media from the US, and start to look for an alternative from Europe. And they are starting to say, well, stop using all this infrastructure like Amazon from the US, and start using other alternatives. So they are starting to say these type of things in the European Union, and let's see how it goes. No? Because the European Union is starting to fight the US, and what is another point of fight between the Europe and the US is the Ofcom. You know, Ofcom is an institution that regulates the internet activity in Europe, while Ofcom is starting to fight American companies so they can adapt their own rules. And the US is saying, okay, you are from Europe, you control Europe companies, don't come and tell me what to do in America. They are starting to go with a bill, the 4444, no, 4405 bill, 4405 bill, that even talks about how they are not going to allow in the US Ofcom, is because Ofcom even, I think Ofcom gave how do you say this, sanction. I think Ofcom sanctioned X company of Elon Musk, which is a social media company. Even I'm streaming in X on X, and well, they gave a fine. No? They gave a fine to X. I think it was $130 million, something like that, because they want that X censor some speeches, and X say no, I'm not going to do it. It's free speech, and they in the U.S. they saw this fine to X, like $100 million in a fine, and they became they are already are. They're pretty much like this close in the U.S. to pass a bill, the 4405 bill, I think it is, which says that no foreign companies like Ofcom or whatever they want to call them, they're not going to allow Tell X, which is based on the U.S., who to censor and who to not to censor. They're going to start to say to paint the finger, the middle finger, and I think we need to clap that decision from the U.S. that they apparently are going to start to paint the middle finger, literally, to all those regulators outside the US that ask US companies like Meta, Google, Facebook, Instagram, X uh, to censor people. You know, they're going to paint the middle finger. My company is based in the US, so F you. You know? And I think it's fine because that bill is very interesting. If I don't misremembering, it's Bill 4405. I think that is the bill 4405. It has a name. It has a name. I'm gonna see if I can bring here is the granite initiative. Let me see the number exactly. No, is this bill is another bill. Is exactly is the bill BB0070. I have it right here. I have it right here. It is the Granite Act. The Granite Act is Wyoming HB 0070 Granite Act. And this act is saying, is painting the middle finger to Ofcom and all these regulators from foreigners like Europe, Mexico, Brazil, you name it, Russia, whatever, to paint the middle finger to these foreign states. If you see this, it says extortion. You see, it says extortion granite act. This is creating a cause of action against foreign states and international organizations regarding foreign censorship laws that violate specific constitution provisions providing for stating jurisdictions, etc. So this granite act is going to be passed in the US. It's going to be approved uh, because it's going to paint the middle finger like entities like Ofcom, which says, hey, this content is based in your company in the US. I need you to censor this guy because he's saying something that I don't like censor. And the US is gonna say, paint the middle finger like F off. No, I'm in the US. I abide by the US law, so F you with your censorship bullshit and whoever country comes with this crap, Iran, whatever you name it, this this bullshit places where they censor everything, like Venezuela did in the past, and like Nicaragua and all these places, but they're gonna say F you. If this guy has an IP of my country and is using my company based on my country in the US, F you. I'm not going to, or maybe they're not going to censor anything, and they're going to protect their users from this type of abuses. No? So that is the bill, that is the Granite Act, which I believe is an interesting act, and it's fine because many people are trying to censor the internet, like many places do, and it's fine to have some place different, from all that censorship BS. So yeah, and what is happening with all this? Well, I think it's an interesting move by the U.S. because yeah, I mean they're based in the U.S. Why the hell someone in Europe is going to find X, which is based in the U.S. with $1 million, hundreds of thousands, millions of fines to censor some guy just because some asshole, maybe politician, sassy politician doesn't like to be criticized online. No, F you, like the movie, like the movie. I don't remember the movie. F you. I remember the line of the movie. And yeah, they even want to fine. Like put a sanction to American companies when the bullshit isn't elsewhere. It's like take the bullshit with you. I mean that I think that's the sense a little bit of this bill, and I kind of like that. Like they're not taking that BS from other pro censorship places like the UK. I mean, the UK is insane. This place is insane, and that's why China gave Stramer the second class treatment, which I found completely appropriated because he's going wild in the UK, trying to censor and control freak in the UK. You know? So yeah, I think that was important. You know? That bill is important, the Granite Act, which is very interesting, and I think is going to be a safe haven, maybe to people that might suffer from censorship in their home countries, which are crooked and corrupt, and these sassy politicians that doesn't like to be criticized, that they maybe have the wrong career because a politician has to be able to deal with criticism. If they don't like to being criticized, if they want to be this these Apple boys, this drawer boys with these like these sassy people. You know, I don't tell me nothing because sorry, I'm going to sue you. Well, these people with light skins, they should be doing something else outside of the political game because the political game is always being criticized. You know? That's part of the job. You know? Part of the job is withstand and being able to handle criticism. If they don't like to be criticized, go do something else. Be a cab driver, you know. Wash some dishes in some restaurant, you know. Work as a garbage man, or maybe I don't know, as a chauffeur, or maybe I don't know, in a hotel or something like that, in tourism, you know, anywhere, you know? Because people cannot handle criticism. Should be doing something else. You know? They should not be in politics, and that's part of the job. These people that want to censor because I see this guy is talking all this about me, not this journal. This is well, they should be cleaning bathrooms, being a cab drivers, chauffeurs, cleaning washing dishes in restaurants, and I don't know, selling popcorns or maybe even something else. They picked the wrong career. But I think the U.S. is in an interesting way trying to say, well, if you want to censor someone because say something that you don't like, F you, and take your BS with you, and don't come disturb our American companies with your BS, you know, with your light skin, with your baby face, with your whining, you know, because it's not like that. It shouldn't be like that. You know? And sadly, we have many countries censoring because they don't like what people has to say, especially about politics or politicians. You know? And I think that is completely wrong. And I think that bill is interesting if it tries to address this type of maybe scenarios. You know? And it would be interesting because many people will be able to have free speech, freedom of speech, even if their country is a complete crooked place or system. You know, they will be able to survive, you know, all the BS from their own home countries with maybe this possibility, you know, that it might be with the Granite Act. So yeah, I mean that's a good decision. I think it's a very interesting, and even for the owners like Elon Musk, like this Zuckerberg and all these guys, because they will be able to protect themselves from all this pressure, you know, from crooked governments that are trying to put pressure on these companies to their bullshit, you know. So well, that is it. Well, yeah, and I think that it's a good move. And in the end, I think that the just to end, you know, the thing that is like intensely surfacing the internet, what information is like wild right now, what Epstein files. This I don't remember his last name. There is a congressman that is called Tom something. It is a congressman in the U.S. that pushed the released Epstein files, and he managed to. I think that was the 4405. I think that was the number in the Epstein files. Is the 4405 that I was mistakenly assigning it to this Granite Act. Now the Granite Act is HB0070, and the the Epstein the Epstein released act. No, this released act is the 4405, no, 4405, which is 3 million, a batch of 3 million documents, 3 million documents which are released to the public. There is a lot of information right there in this batch of files released to the public, and I think it is worth. I think it's worth it. It's worth to put in image in the background this information. I think I'm gonna put it right here. I'm just gonna uh, search first because 3 million papers released because this congressman, I only remember the name Tom Helland, or something like that. I'm sorry, I don't remember the name by memory right now. But Tom is Tom. It's clearly there is a Tom something. This guy, managed to order the release of all these files, 3 million files. So I'm gonna put here. This is the justice.gov page. It is the justice.org page, which is the official page for justice. You see this U.S. Department of Justice, and up says an official. You see right there in this corner, it says an official website of the United States government. No? Here's how you know, and yeah, there it is. So the Department of Justice, and it's the Epstein Library. And yes, I'm more than 18 years old, so I'm past that point now. A few years ago now, and and here it is. You see, last update 31st of January of 2026. Today, you see, today is the last update. So this house is material responsive to these crimes, and you see the 4405, which is I think is this. I don't know if it's a court or a DOG. I think it's a DOG. I think it's a DOG disclosure, the 4405, which is the pressure that put this congressman with another congress people to release these documents. And this is Epstein Files Transparency. This is the act that I think the Republican, or I don't know if it's Republican or Democrat, but there were several Congress people pushing this act, which is the 4405, and they managed to make a mandate to the Department of Justice to publish 3 million files. So you see that here is the data sets, and yeah, here is this disclosure, and you can view the files here directly on the page, and you see there is all file zip, and there is all these PDFs right here. I don't know if yes, there is this PDFs. You see, there is all these PDFs. Some of them are pictures like this. Some of them are documents from maybe you see there are pictures from evidence. So you see that there is some dates from the 2019, and there is a lot of information. So this is the work of, I think one of the Republicans is Tom. I repeat, I don't recall his last name, but they made this possible. They make this batch of release possible to the public. And well, yeah, I think the guy doesn't even take the complete credit. No, he says, no, I made it with the aid of some other two people. No, I was not alone doing this. He said that he had aid from, he was helped by some people uh, in his party, I think. And yeah, I mean, that's very interesting to see. And I think that that comes in a very, very complicated moment for Donald Trump, because I think the guy was named in these documents. So yeah, well, there are these documents right here, and you have a lot of documents here from this batch of files. So you see that there are like this evidence of many evidence, no, from these documents, and there are a lot of pictures right here where you have a lot of information regarding all this scandal, which is should have been a much bigger scandal, but at the end of the day, it's not that big of a deal. Well, it was not that big of a deal in the media, for the media, but of course, for everyday people, it was a scandal. For all of us, it's like, what the hell is happening here? All these pictures from all these servers, all these computers, all these things, and yeah, there's a lot of. I think these are all our pictures. I don't know if I can go to the next one right here from the page. I don't know if I. No, I don't think I could do it. I think I need to click one by one each link to see the next picture. Yeah, there's a lot of pictures here from these places that they. I think, well, there's some weird images like this. You see, like Bill Clinton, and I think it's this guy, this, and in the bathroom, I mean, some very weird. But yeah, this weird pictures like that. There's a lot of pictures here, and people. I think many people are actually watching these files. I think there are people actually right now looking at all these files one by one, picture by picture, and posting whatever they find interesting in these documents or this information, which is very interesting to see all this information right here that we have not seen before, right? So all of these apparently are pictures. I'm going to see if any of these other batches of files is documents. I'm going to have a quick look. Apparently, well, this is the guy in question, this Epstein guy in question, in this weird picture in a house. So we see this guy and we see many things like this. And we see this link Maxwell and so whatever. So well, I'm gonna go to see if there is any documents here in this Transparency Act. Let's see if we go down the line to the 12. I'm gonna see. Maybe there are old pictures. I don't know. Oh, there is documents. You see, down the line, there are some documents here of this wild situation unclassified by law. Uh, this one is from the FBI. There's the logo of the FBI right there. And this was in 2022, 14th of February. Here is like documents, from activity made by this, yeah, like these people that were investigated. And you see, there is even a biographical information. You see this Malcolm Gumbridge or something like that. Maybe it's people that went into contact or maybe had something to do with Epstein. I don't know. I have not seen this information. But of course, these documents maybe are from people related to this case. A very scandalous, a very wild case. You see, we have this type of letters. These emails. I have seen a lot of in X. I have seen a lot of these emails saying a lot of wild stuff. But when you have it, it is redacted. You see redacted to from is redacted. We only see March 23, 2011. And it says thank you and says spoke with, I don't know, and I have identified the files that can be sent to Miami. So there is information here about emails and stuff that was sent to some people. You see, another like unclassified document and conversations via email. And yes, you see, so there is all these email conversations between people, because we don't see the email, uh, we don't see who was talking to who. We see something like other things like this, like letters. June 22, 2022, when there is more information about the case. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of information. Many people are actually reviewing this as I speak in many places. And some of them even are publishing in their X accounts all this. And sadly, we have this type of things, we have this type of reductions, which are crazy, that you see all these reductions here is not good. But anyways, let's see if we can see something interesting here randomly You see, close your eyes, blah blah. Uh, I think now this you see this place. You see it says there the place, you know. Well, yeah, I mean this is part of all this. And yeah, I mean it's complicated, but anyways. So you see they even put newspaper, the very weird, right? Very weird stuff. The very weird stuff when you see this type of I don't know it's weird like something weird here, no? Like encrypted maybe encrypted messages here. I don't know, it's weird, no? Like all these letters maybe like look like I don't know, they look like there is message encrypted here, you see? And this is a promise provided for you no matter what. But all these all those letters like I don't make any sense of them. Maybe it was a message, coded message for something. And we see people here blurred, well, their face blocked. They don't want to see what people was. I mean, there's a lot of information here. I mean, a lot. And yeah, I mean, you see this. And yeah, I mean, this is very controversial. Well, you see these very weird messages, like all this. You see, like like maybe it's encoded messages. You know, they send to each other. You know, encrypted or something weird like that. This doesn't make sense. It does not make any sense. This mumbo jumbo. You know? And this is like yeah, written letters, but sideways. Even like some drawings. You see why she's always in charge. You see why Vienna she's always in charge. You know, understanding something. You know? Some drawing. Not very relaxed side here. I mean, this is very weird. This is very weird. You know, this seems like encoded messages, something like that. Very weird. So we have very weird stuff here. You see, and she have on his like encoded messaging, like they need to decrypt this message or something like that. It's weird. You know, some weird stuff. Like you see this weirdness. I mean, very weird stuff. There are a lot of things you know, to think about. Open your eyes, quiet, very weird. Why are there so many questions? Um, I don't know. Seems like encoded messages, like hidden messages or something like that. It's completely crazy. I don't know, even part of newspaper, you know. I don't know. It's so fucking. It is weird. That's crazy. You know? Like look at all this. I mean, it's wild. You see, I mean, it's really weird, really cryptic, really eerie. Like I mean, it's just fucking weird to be honest to see. Uh, I don't know what to say, but it's a very weird way to communicate between these criminals. I don't know, just it's creepy. It's creepy. That's the word. It's really creepy. It's really creepy to see. It's really creepy to see some of the. But it's really creepy, and I don't know. Maybe there's some encoded messaging right there, but it is wild. It is wild. It is weird. Some weird images from this. But anyways, it's kind of weird. But he's this type of messages, this type of I don't know how to say documents. I don't know. Uh, but there are this part of all these uh, released documents or evidence to the public. Many email correspondence between people. Google as Will or no, I don't know. blah, blah, blah. So there are people talking about something, and so yeah, there is a lot of mixture of things here, and a lot of conversations. Of course, not all of the conversation might be criminal, but there is a lot of evidence here of many conversations between people. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I think that this is going to uh, get people talking on the internet, maybe for a few days, or maybe in a week, maybe even a week, because there is a lot of information here, a lot of weird pictures, a lot of weird stuff, a lot of things that are crazy, like, I mean, like, really weird documents, like the one I saw, which is one of the weirdest things I have ever seen. The type of notebooks with all these newspaper pieces and all this madness. Anyways, I don't know. It's wild. But yeah, I think there are a lot of things going on in this document release. It's still more documents to be released. This was just another part of the puzzle. There is a lot of things that I think are missing. There are still a lot of things that are like this censored, no, like this black boxes that they are still hiding information from the world. So yeah, I mean, so yeah, there's a lot of things going on. I think people is gonna have like maybe even to analyze all this, maybe even 2 weeks. Maybe people that want to review all of these maybe 2 weeks, a week, maybe, so they can actually see what the hell all this information say. So this is about some Russian people, apparently, or some trip to Russia. Well, anyway, so yeah, I think this is going to be very, very interesting. It's going to be very, it's going to put so many people to talk about some of this stuff. And yeah, it's only a part, 3 million files. And of course, this is not complete all the information that there is from this case. I think there is a lot of more information. I don't know exactly how much more information is, but there has to be a lot more because uh, well, there is all this huge document you see here, a special agent. You see this. This is very interesting. You see, this is like this United States grand jury, United States of America versus Jeffrey Epstein. You see, this is in 2018, August 23, and it's this United States courthouse. So this is like a questioning. You see, like they make this special agent question and answer. So a special agent was talking maybe with Jeffrey Epstein. Where you currently work, the FBI was you there. Well, it's an interview to an FBI agent for over 2 years, maybe from a courthouse, no, the transcription from the court when they're interrogating an FBI special agent. And they say, where are you currently assigned to violent crimes against children squad? What are your duties and responsibilities? Child exploitation, human trafficking matters, and parental kidnappings. Have you participated in the investigation of Jeffrey Epstein and his associates? Yes. Have you spoken with other people, including other law enforcement officers, about this investigation? Yes. Have you reviewed reports and documents prepared by others about this case? Yes. Did you testimony today based part of those conversations with other law enforcement officers documents that you reviewed? Yes. Well, so there's a lot of information. Well, this is all public. It's right there on the Department of Defense pages from the, the internet, open to everyone. So he says, ladies and gentlemen, some of the testimony that you're going to hear today will include hearsay. Well, there's a lot of things that there has to hearsay and evidence is admissible in this grand jury proceedings, and you're free to rely on it in determining whether there is an interesting statement, and well, yeah, there's that specification right there, and they're going to say all this. Can you tell how old this? He's 66, says. Jeffrey Epstein was 66 at the time. Based on open source reporting, you have learned about this guy. He's a wealthy individual, has background money manager, background finance. Is that what he's been published and you report about him? Blah, blah, blah. Have you learned where Epstein maintains residence? Yes. And Manhattan says. And they're talking about where he lives, multi-story residence. It's a BM Palm Beach, wherever they're talking about where he lives. This is based on your participation in this investigation. Have you learned where I was living when she was over 14 years old? Yes. And she was living in redacted. No, in the beginning of the freshman year, blah, blah, blah. Well, she's meeting people. I don't know. There's a lot of information here. They're talking about meeting girls. Yeah, saying that the guy was apparently Massachusetts each side. And anyway, so this, yeah, but this is only her. This says heresy in the first part. So yeah, all this is testimonies, no? But in the end, we need to understand that testimonies can be forged or can be forced. That maybe not, they're just like an opinion or like a version of the fact. So all this information is important and interesting, and all this allows us to see much a bigger image, a bigger context of what happened with this guy, you know, this well, this type of crimes. There is this type of documents like this one, which put more information about all this. It says between approximately 94 and 97, facilitated Jeffrey Epstein access to minor victims by, among other things, inducing advertising. There's all this you know, multi-story private residence where these problems happen. So yeah, there's a lot of evidence here about places, places where alleged this type of crimes happen, and so far so on. So there's a lot of information here. Of course, this all open to everyone, for everyone to see in the internet. And yeah, I mean, it's awful to see all this, but there is all this type of released evidence in this latest uh, batch of files. No? I mean, there's a lot of information. I think is going to take some time for people to analyze and review and talk about this, and put everything under the table for everyone to see on the internet. And yeah, I think this is a very sad situation that happened to kids, and it's very very awful crimes. And it gives paint us a picture that the Western civilization has been doing badly. It's been doing very very nasty stuff in the Western civilization that it shouldn't be happening. This should not be happening to anyone. And yeah, I mean, it's very sad to think about this, and to imagine all those awful situations happening in this type of crimes. And the fact that there's many people involved, artists, politicians, it makes you wonder how bad the system in the West is. And it is not about trying to destroy the West, it's about reflecting in what has the West in the situation that it is in right now. And I think it's a lot of corruption, a lot of criminality, a lot of this lack of morals and ethics and stuff. And I think that what we are witnessing right now in the West, all this deterioration, all this destruction of the West, is part of uh, all this deterioration of morals, ethics, all this nasty stuff involving many people that are influencers in the Western culture, and these influencers in the Western culture are not very nice people apparently, and makes you think and wonder and makes you understand maybe a little bit more all this nonsense, all this madness in the West. Where is the root of all this evil, right? So yeah, I mean, there is going to be a lot of talking with the Epstein files, and there is still a lot of bullshit, happening online. All these false narratives, all this bullshit, all these lies, and all this manipulation of reality. And I think it's only a part of a bigger mix of nonsense and madness and lack of morality, of deterioration, degradation, and criminality that is making the West completely failed and completely destroyed, and going into a cliff. I've been saying this in 2024 that is like in the West we have many things going into a cliff, into a precipice, into the hellhole, into a black hole. And I think all of this are just part of all this big mix that is destroying the West. And sadly, we are seeing this falling of the West very clearly, because when we see this type of documents and this type of criminality, yeah, it makes your blood go cold. Like, it's a heinous crimes. So, well, with this, I'm going to finish this exercise of communication from 31st of January of 2026. I mean, it's so difficult to see and think about this type of crimes against kids, child, people. I mean, it's awful to think about it, and it makes you to see the rottenness of the West. And yeah, I mean, it's awful. And of course, there is a side of this story that I want to say. That it is also as awful and nasty as the crime in itself of child trafficking, child molesting, child abuse. All these crimes by itself are the worst type of crimes, are so nasty, so evil. But there is another evil here. I want to say to end the other type of evil that is similar, in his nastiness, heinousness, awfulness, disgustingness, grossness, and it is the fact that some people are willing to use these heinous crimes that Jeffrey Epstein did for whatever reason. He was crazy, he was whatever. But those heinous crimes, awful crimes, the worst type of crimes, well, there are some people that are willing to use that type of crimes, that type of disgrace, people that did this this awful and nasty acts, of abusing of minors. And there is another disgusting type of almost criminality when some people are willing to use these uh, awful crimes from Epstein. They're willing to use this case, uh, for political violence, for political gain. And that is also the most disgusting people in the world. People willing to use this case to attack politically people and forget about the victims. That is the worst. You see how they tried to put Trump at the center of the Epstein files. Those are the most disgusting people in the world. I'm not defending Trump. I'm not defending Trump. I'm not saying that the guy is innocent. I'm not saying that. The guy appears in the documents. I mean, he will have to clarify all this, and if he has to go to a jury and to say what the participation of the guy itself was in this case, he will have to do so. But the authorities will have to cite this guy, or do whatever they need to do to clarify his participation in this case. But the most disgusting thing is people humiliating victims, re-victimizing the family members of the victims, stepping over the foot of the victims to use the case not to seek justice. That is the disgusting thing of these people. They do not use this case to seek for justice to the victims. Some, the most disgusting people in the world, use this case not to seek justice, not to give the family members of the victims peace of mind. Well, finally, the perpetrators went to jail and it's all over and they can move on. Well, no, they not do, and they not talk about this case for that. They talk about this case to attack politically, no, to make an attack in the political aspect to politicians, to governors, to people in politics, the Republicans, Trump, whatever, Elon Musk, or whatever. So the most disgusting type of human beings are the ones that use this case not to give justice to the victims, not to give a closure to the victims, putting the perpetrators in jail. They're trying to use it to attack politically. That are the most disgusting human beings in the world because they don't care about justice. They don't care about helping the family members of the victims to have a closure, to have finally seen the perpetrators in jail. They are only thinking a political game in attacking a political person, maybe I don't know, whoever it was, Trump or whatever. They use it to attack. Those are the most disgusting human beings in the world because they don't care about the victims and the justice and whatever. So sadly, with this case, we are seeing this side nasty also as well. Is nasty as well. This nasty side of the story, where even in Mexico, this type of disgusting human beings are also using it to attack the ex-president of Mexico. And I'm not defending the guy. I'm just saying it's so disgusting when they try to use it to attack politically. Well, I mean, they some of them are informing. Oh, you see, these people are mentioned in the case. Well, that's right. No, some people are insisting in the subject, but not with the purpose of justice, but with the purpose to attack politically. You see how that guy appeared and they start to create all these lies and all these political attacks and all this nonsense, you know. So I've been talking about this case not to attack politically. You know? Since day one I've been talking about this case to try to avoid this type of crimes, to prevent this type of crimes to happen, and of course to bring justice to the victims of this type of crimes. But sadly, not all people think the same, and you know, and you realize this because because when when I spoke about the death, the suspicious murder, the suspicious death, the murder of Virginia Gifford, no one talked about this. No one. There were no souls out there talking about the suspicious death of Virginia Gifford in the West. No one said a goddamn thing in April of 2025 when she was run over, by a car or a bus, I don't remember, but she was injured in this run over. She survives, this attempt of murder. She's recovering, and 2 weeks when she was they let her go to her house to recover because she was improving her health. Apparently, she dies under very mysterious circumstances. She was going to publish a book in October of 2025. No, I don't know. I was not going to publish it in October. Excuse me. She was going to publish that book, and she left everything arranged for the book to be published if something happened to her because she was afraid of her life. So she said if something happens to her, she was going to publish this book. So she dies under very suspicious circumstances. No one said anything about it. Everyone was like a mummy, like a mummy, like from Egyptian mummy, not from mummy like a mum, no, like Egyptian mummy, like without words. I cannot speak. So I cannot speak. Well, we say this of the mummy like because in Spanish we say mudos como momias. So they didn't see very few news media reported the suspicious death of Regina Giffey, and the two or three media that dared to talk about it, they say that she suicide. When she and her own ex account said that she will never do that, and if anything happened to her, and they claim the lie that she killed herself, everyone should investigate because she was probably killed. You know? And in October of 2025, the book comes into light. No one talked about it. You see all these assholes, talking about the release of these documents only to attack politicians. They don't care about the victims. These monsters and the worst type of human beings don't care about the victims, don't care about the justice. They only care to attack whoever appears there politically. I mean, whoever, Trump, whatever. They only are using it to attack for political gain. So that are the most disgusting human beings in the world, and is disgusting, disgusting. Those monsters actually are doing this. They're talking about this just to attack politically, and they don't care about the justice. There are some others that they do talk about this, like I have right now. But I spoke also about the death of Virginia Gifford, about her book. I've been talking about this for a long time because we don't want kids to have this type of awful, awful situations. Because many of these clowns and monsters that are talking about this, many of them sadly are using this to attack political figures or persons or people or characters, whatever. And that is very disgusting. But there are others that are talking genuinely like I am because we have been talking about the death of the suspicious death of Regina Giffey. Her book will be covering a little bit about this subject since a long time. So sadly, there is many people using this for the wrong reasons, disgusting reasons, and some of us, a few of us, are using it to try to prevent this type of crimes, to make people more aware of this type of nasty crimes, that we can do something to prevent this type of crimes against kids, and to bring, try to help in a way, whatever the way it is, to bring uh, uh, to the victims maybe justice. Now that perpetrators might be on jail and they finally can move on from this awful, awful, awful situation, and maybe to stop other people in other places to ever face some awful thing like this ever. So I needed to say that at the end. I really needed to say that at the end because the Western civilization is rotten, sadly. And in this rottenness from the Western civilization, many vultures from the media are ugly and nasty and use all this information just to get views, just to get gain financially, to clickbait, to attack politically, to whatever other reason, instead of the right reasons. So I'm going to finish with that reflection in the end from this with this case. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep. I'm going to talk in my social media specifically for this information because I don't want to. Well, I think it's out there for everyone to see. It's all in there in the Department of Justice page. I don't feel the need to put this information on my social media because I think it's going to be flooded the internet with it, so I don't have to. But I am at least will registered the page where all these files are. Maybe you can download it and maybe you have restored it as an important event in this history of the world with this nasty problem of surfaced into the world. But I don't know if I want this type of ugly information in my social media for maybe a week, reviewing all this information. I'm not sure. I might not do it, but uh, yeah, I wish I was speaking about many other things, but sadly, these are the things that are happening in the world. So I might do the exercise of tomorrow in Spanish or maybe in another language to practice as well. I think I feel more comfortable with my English today. I'm not as rusty today now as on other occasions that I was a lot. I forget a lot of words, expressions, but I feel more comfortable now. I think my English is coming back at its best level, at its peak. Let's say it in another way. And yeah, I mean, I feel comfortable talking in English. So um, I think tomorrow I might do it in Spanish. Maybe I do it in another language. I want to practice more languages that I don't use often. So when you don't use a language, you start to lose it. To lose it. So I want to keep practice those languages as well. And yeah, I mean, who knows? Maybe in Spanish, maybe another language. I don't know. But with this registration of events happening in the world, I think I needed to do it. This occasion, I really needed to do it in English because English is a more universal language, and I think you ease down a lot of the bullshit that may appear here and there, and as well as a good moment or a good way to keep a more diverse exercise, in different languages and so forth, so on. So yeah, tomorrow I will be here. Tomorrow Sunday will be 22. Will be first of February. Excuse me, 1st of February. Tomorrow we start a new month. So we're saying goodbye to January with this release of these files. And I said that the alarm that I issued in 30th of November, the 30th of November of the last year, 2025, I think it's gonna keep active. It's gonna keep active maybe until July. Maybe until July, because there's a lot of things happening from January until July, especially to July 8th. There's going to be a lot of things happening, the World Cup and so forth, so on. But I'm going to keep the alert, this alarm, the seismic alarm, which has nothing to do with tremors, with earthquakes, not the seismic alarm, but as a expression, not because there is an earthquake or whatever. It's because they are going to have first it started first with um, some people from reliable sources talking about that there was something going on, and as well when Dr. Stephen Greer jumped into this narrative saying, "Be careful, something is going to happen between 30th of November throughout the holiday season." I say, "No, yeah, there's going to be probably something happening." And we see all these situations developing, and these situations happening in Venezuela and all this. So yeah, I think this information about something going on between these dates was legit, and I don't know, maybe it will remain until July. I think from from January, February, March, April, June, July, at least the end of July. So yeah, because I think it's going to keep happening. Many of these situations, I think it's going to be they're going to come more extreme release files. We're going to see more situations developing in Iran. We're going to see all this the World Cup. We're going to see this situation in the government, which is between the shutdown of the government and civil war. Is going to be wild if ICE is not controlled. We're going to see more about this. The internet is becoming different, and the world is acting different, but at the same time, I think this shake was needed to not to go back to the same thing. That's not the point. We should not go back to the same thing. We need to improve things. And the UN needs to be reformed. Um, all these dynamics, power dynamics, needs to get better. We need to have the foundations to start walking into a planetary species, not into a divided nonsense species, but into a planetary species. And we need to strengthen the institution at the international level. You know, we need to start think about this. We need to start think about robotics, about the data centers in space, about AI, about robotics, about the way it's going to change how we work, about the universal high income, about money, about finances, a more just finance system for the world, not just the same old banks. Improve it with something better. But this is going to take time. This is going to take time. And I'm not talking about a reset. And we're talking about improving the system that we have to become better. But we are not accomplishing that much still, because we still need to keep breaking prejudices in our minds, to open our minds and to really see ourselves as an planetary species. Because when we don't open our mind, we see ourselves as divided. No, this is Spain, this is Mexican, this is Hindu, this is Christian. No, 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 no. But we're still far off from a planetary species. And I don't see the backbones yet for the planetary species, like a solid planetary species. And the future is going to demand us going that way. And to go to that way, we need to learn how to start, like with Iran and Israel, cut the bullshit and see what the hell is going on there, what the hell is going on, what the hell is the problem. Start to acting in a higher way, saying, no, let's leave all this nonsense behind and see what we can do to actually um, improve things instead of be fighting for nonsense. Or, well, like I said, Israel probably doesn't even know what the hell was the problem with Iran, cutting the bullshit out. You know? So let's hope that all this is it keeps developing in a better way. And of course, we don't have the backbones. We don't have the backbones. To have a backbone to a planetary civilization, we still need. Um, it's like the boat analogy that I used to say. We're going in a boat, in a ship, on a sea, and we're going nowhere. No, there is nothing ready in the boat to sail. We're in this ship, this big boat, no? And when you go into the boat and see all the people in there, we are fighting each other. Someone is fighting over there, someone is fighting over there, and everyone is fighting instead of organizing to get ready, to get the ship ready to sail and go somewhere. I used to say this analogy in Spanish many times. We are in the boat, in the ship, and we are seeing the ship with no captain, with no one leading, with no one organizing, no one. Everyone is the European Union and India is in this corner talking about agreements, and we see the Israel fighting Palestine in the other corner of the ship, and we see in the Camarines underneath the US saying, "Leave me alone. I'm gonna charge with money anyone that enters the canteen or whatever, or the Camarine or whatever, the rooms or whatever." And where everyone is doing their things, and the goddamn ship is loose. It's just moving by the sea. It's just there, with no room, with no going nowhere. And instead of organizing ourselves, hey, you go take this the go. You're gonna be the captain. You're gonna raise the sail, and we're going to start organizing this goddamn ship to go somewhere. We're going to see. You're going to navigate. You're going to do this. Instead of organizing to put the goddamn ship into movement, you have all these groups of people in the ship. Ones over there fighting, Israel and Palestine, others there, Russia and Ukraine fighting. And you have the US saying that, I'm going to charge money for anyone that wants to go to the bathroom or whatever. Like everyone is doing their thing, and the goddamn ship is there, like not sailing anywhere, just standing there. Only the water moving to wherever the water wants to. That's how the world is. A planetary species should be a species where everyone in the boat has a thing to do. There's the navigators, there's the captain, there's the guys that are getting ready the boat to sail. You know? There's the guys cleaning, there's the other guys helping navigate, helping push the boat forward. But we're not doing that. You know? There's some other people that are destroying the boat. I mean, what the hell? I say it in Spanish several times. This analogy, we're going in this boat adrift, completely adrift, and they're fighting over there. And the friend, don't come to my corner, not like Israel. Don't come to my corner. I'm gonna kill everyone that comes to my corner because 3,000 years ago this corner belonged to me in the boat. The boat, of course, is the Earth, the planet. You see how ridiculous it sounds? Israel say, no, no, this corner was promised to me 3,000 years ago. I'm going to kill anyone that goes into my corner. I'm going to bomb on this corner because I want anyone there living. And I'm going to then build something over there. And the goddamn ship adrift. You have Russia and Ukraine fighting because the OTAN wants to enter to this side of the ship, and this side of the ship is too close. And no, no, this is my side of the ship. Don't come to my side of the ship because it's a threat. I'm gonna make a special operation to get these guys from the tank to go there in the middle of the boat. It's ridiculous. I mean, ridiculous to see the goddamn ship resist the earth. These guys destroying it and don't come to my corner because I don't want you here. I mean, please, goddamn. God damn it. That's how the aliens. Look at these fools. The aliens are like laughing at us. Look at these goddamn fools. Destroying the ship by making cracks and throwing molotovs in the ship. Instead of organizing and put the goddamn ship going somewhere. These fools. These goddamn fools. Bombing the side of the center of the ship, the Middle East or whatever. Don't come into my corner, don't enter my room because this is my, I mean, please, goddamn. It's ridiculous. It's completely goddamn ridiculous. Instead of going organizing, hey, who wants to be the captain? Who both these guys the captain? Who's going to fucking navigate? Who's going to help us get these things ready? Who's going to put this thing to movement? Who's going to participate in to move this goddamn ship? Where are going to go? Where do we want to go? We're going to go to Mars. We're going to go to the moon. We're going to go to the center of the universe. We want to build more ships, going to another ship, taking other ships and getting ready to also navigate another planets, colonizing planets to expand humanity. No, this is ridiculous. We have Israel fighting for the corner of the boat. No, I'm here in this side of the boat. No, that side of the boat was promised to me 3,000 years ago. So get out. I'm gonna bomb you if you come into my corner of the ship. Please, come on. I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but that's how the extraterrestrial species is. It's like, look at these goddamn fools. They're laughing at us. Like, look at this. They, I mean, literally, we're fools. We look like fools. I mean, we look like fools. Huh? They probably believe that we're crazy. Like, look at these guys. They probably see us like a chimps, fighting for a banana. Yeah, but when you think about it, they probably see us as some two chimps fighting for a banana. When they have the fucking forest. Instead of uh, taking seeds and growing more trees, we're fighting for the goddamn bananas. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's fucking ridiculous. We have a goddamn forest. And we're like chimps fighting for bananas. Right? Instead of fucking growing more banana trees and having more bananas, we're fighting for the goddamn bananas. It's embarrassing thing, you know. I'm not saying I have not saying express myself very well, but well, we have the deck, the ship, the deck. and you have in the command deck everyone fighting over there because they want to lead, have a real a leadership role or whatever. And we have people in the upper deck over there fighting because it was promised to them 3,000 years ago that the upper deck was going to be for them, and they're kicking out everyone. No? We have the U.S. in the lower deck fighting. Now we're gonna charge you if you want to deal with these guys. If you talk to these other guys, I'm gonna charge you a fee. You know? Don't come into the lower deck because I'm gonna charge you a fee, and no one in the lower deck is going to help other guys. In the lower quarters, we saw other people handling their own businesses, you know? And the goddamn ship adrift, completely adrift, going nowhere. You know? The species going nowhere, humanity going nowhere, and probably the probably the aliens laughing at us. Not the aliens, like look at these goddamn fools. Probably they're laughing at us. We're probably like the the comedy show from the Via Lactea. Maybe we're the comedy show. Look at these goddamn fools fighting for this nonsense, for the banana instead of organize themselves to put more uh, trees and don't fight over bananas. I mean, we really sound ridiculous in this analogy, about the ship, a sailing ship. Well, if you put it in that perspective, it sounds ridiculous. And it kind of is ridiculous. That's what I say. We have people in the main deck, other guys on the lower deck, others in the hold. And instead of organizing who's going to be captain, who's going to prepare the ship to sail, who's going to navigate for us, who's going to help us navigate, who's going to be in charge of this, who's going to do that, and we're all going to work to get this goddamn ship going somewhere. But for some reason, that is goddamn difficult. But yeah, we're not ready. We are not ready to be a planetary species. We're not ready yet. We're still like in this ridiculous scenario, fighting over. I want the upper deck for me. No one comes into the upper deck, and you got Israel over there, in the lower deck on the whatever, in a part of the ship, in the front deck or wherever you wanna call it. No, this was promised to me 3,000 years ago, and this is my side. We're crying out loud. But anyways, I say this analogy in Spanish. Sounds ridiculous when you think about it like that. It sounds ridiculous, to be honest, because you see, like, look at these guys, adrift, fighting in the goddamn ship and destroying the goddamn ship instead of organizing themselves to take the goddamn ship somewhere. But we're not there yet. We're not there yet. So yeah, we're still not ready for become a planetary species. We still not reached that point. We have not reached that point, and I think the reasons from not reaching this point, in part or partially, I think it is because we don't have an unlimited, renewable, unlimited, free energy for all, and that was exactly what excuse me that exactly was what Tesla was doing. Tesla was working on wireless, free, unlimited energy for all. They did not let him. No? It was we have this ship. We still need to do it by hand. No, and the guy was building the engine, but some idiots did not let him finish his experiments. No? And we are still here contaminating with non-renewable energy sources because some assholes decided that Tesla should not be giving free energy to the world. he should not go forward with that idea, and we are where we are because of that type of ideas and fighting each other instead of taking this goddamn boat, which is the art, this analogy, somewhere. This sailing ship going to the stars to navigate the universe, to get more ships, to get more planets, to start thinking big. But we're still not there. And part of that is because we still cannot manage to master the energy sources without contaminating, completely free, renewable, unlimited. And we are going there. We're getting closer there, with this solar energy that they want to take from space into the earth via microwaves. But that's one of the things that are not letting us think big. And the other thing is maybe because we're thinking about this scam from the financial system where the money is just a fantasy. The financial system of the money is fantasy, pretty much is fantasy, and it's not working for everyone. So we need to see what we're going to do over there. But we still have not found or find a way to do these things. We're still struggling. Well, that's where we are right now, in the verge to become a planetary civilization. We have the internet, which is a planetary type communication system, but we still are struggling to take the next step because we have not found the formula or the way to go through the process because no one is thinking about it. Everyone is thinking in small. No, I'm at US and this and that. No one is thinking big for everyone. There's no one thinking about how are we going to make the world transition to this, to the planetary system. We are not. No one is thinking about that. We have all these fires. We're just putting fires out, and no one is thinking this way. Maybe China a little bit with energy systems, or maybe Japan as well, but separately. We're not joining forces, which is kind of dumb. You know, I mean, we spend all this goddamn money in war instead of using the goddamn money for creating an unlimited energy, free energy system for all. Free. No, we use all this goddamn money for stupid wars instead of using it to put humanity at the next level with free energy devices, free energy system research, and all these things that we need. Somehow, it's just for goddamn wars. Jesus. And no wonder why they say, wait, well, aliens have not contacted us. Well, when you see all this nonsense, you say, well, that is your answer right there. But anyways, with this, I finished this exercise, 2 hours and 51 minutes of transmission, almost 12, almost almost, uh, yeah, almost Sunday. So I'm gonna finish this 1 minute before Sunday, and I will be here tomorrow in this exercise once more.